turn this into something positive and maybe it'll spread.
He's the most positive person on his job.
Now you're cured.
I feel good.
Good morning and welcome to Positively Milwaukee. I'm Carole Meekins. Happy Father's Day to all dads joining us today. We appreciate you because we know not every day is like a Hallmark card. But we did talk to a local man who has promoted the importance of fatherhood for years. Dennis Walton shares his inspiration and goals for helping make dads and families strong.
The fact that I had a mother and a father who loved me so much, that was like my inspiration to fatherhood. I think as a young person, you take for granted how valuable your parents are. I'm a 45-year-old man, and I still think about what would my dad say? Or when I do things, I think about would my dad approve of this? Like my dad loved me so much, and I loved him so much that as a child, it made me feel like, man, when I have children, I want my children to love me the way I love my dad. Because that's how good it felt to love my father. You know, that it inspired me to want to be a father. And I wanted my children to feel the same way about me that I felt about my dad. My parents were no nonsense. They didn't play any games. My greatest fear was my parents. I didn't care about police. I didn't care about people in the streets. I just didn't want to disappoint my parents. And I think that that's very significant because if you look at the world today, you don't see children having that type of reverence for their parents today because society has kind of taken the parenting role away from the parent, and children are growing up through YouTube and through the television and through all of the outside influences that are in their lives. And that role from the parent has been hindered. Of course, with my children, I'm no nonsense. I love them dearly, and I enjoy and celebrate them when they do well. But also, I enjoy and celebrate when I have to correct them. You know, so you have to love the good and the bad when it comes with your family. Nurturing is not a term that's synonymous with men. Men are traditionally not even looked at as nurturers when they really are. And we have to promote that aspect of men because the perception of a man is the outdated perception. You know, the Al Bundy, Dope, or the Homer Simpson with the big beer belly. And just all of these just negative images. We don't have the War Cleaver images anymore, or the Cliff Huxtables. You know, all of those positive images that promoted fatherhood. Now, if you look at the way that our society is, we have totally gotten away from lifting up a positive image of what it means to be a strong father. When you talk about nurturing, that is an example of watching men love their daughters and be there to protect their daughters, and that raw emotion, you know, where men are able to just let their guards down and just be that silly, fun dad. And if you also want to see the nurturing side of men, look at all of the men who are coaches. You know, the little league coaches, the football coaches, the basketball coaches, the baseball coaches. All of those men are men who love children. When we look at the images today, we have to restore the positive image of the man, and we have to restore the concept of what it means for men to be nurturers, men to have compassion, men having love, men just having genuine concern and being sincere with their connection to their children. And traditionally, the nurturing aspect of a man and the caring aspect of a man is not something that's even recognized by society. And people take for granted the natural emotion and connection that men have to their children. And I would say to all of the men who are fighting, who are really fighting to be in the lives of their children, don't give up. I know it's tough when you have been accused of something falsely, and and you can't be in the life of your child because of the courts, or you're going through a situation where you have a mother of your children who may not be cooperating with you, and she's posing every type of barrier. men who are incarcerated, who are spending time in jail for frivolous things, or we have this issue of mass incarceration. A lot of these men are fathers. As we look at Father's Day, we have to see it as an institution. And men have to come together and support each other more than ever today. Our women have to support men more than ever today. If we can focus on the healing of a community through the reconciliation and healing of families, because the family is the first institution. If the family is fragmented, if the family is all over the place, then it's gonna be a reflection of our community. I think that the beauty of fatherhood is that men of all experiences, all backgrounds, have the opportunity to support and mentor and nurture each other. If you've been the worst father, you have something to offer because you can help another father not go through that same thing. If you've made mistakes as a father, you can help another father who's coming along not go through some of those same things. And then to all of the fathers who are very successful and who do have the beautiful families and the beautiful life, and they're able to have all of the experiences with their children, you have something to offer to men who are looking to accomplish that. Overall, what we're saying is that we need to let them know that they matter. And if we can continue to inspire fathers and motivate fathers to stay the course and to stay the distance, I think that's the greatest chance of us being able to save our children. You are somebody, and you are somebody that is very important to our society.
Dennis, thank you for being such a great leader in Milwaukee. And of course, happy Father's Day to you and all of our dads out there. June is Pride Month, celebrating the LGBTQ+ community. COVID-19 means funding is down, but the need is great for all nonprofits. Digital reporter James Groh tells us how we all can help.
Nonprofit organizations in Milwaukee like Pathfinders and Courage MKE have been operating at capacity during the coronavirus, and now they're reaching out to the public for help.
We're upwards between $50,000 and $60,000 that we didn't account for.
Courage MKE operates this house for displaced LGBTQ+ youth. For privacy reasons, we couldn't film inside. Because the coronavirus closed schools, those living at the house were spending more time here.
The food costs and utility costs that were not planned when we were deciding our budget last year.
Unexpected costs relating to the coronavirus have made some local LGBTQ+ organizations strapped for cash. That's why Courage MKE announced a $50,000 fundraiser that will be split between 5 nonprofits, including itself, that support the LGBTQ community.
If I don't have staff, these kids don't have a house, right? And so where do these 5 kids go?
The campaign is called Proudly Together in honor of Gay Pride Month. Courage MKE launched the initiative with this video as a way to celebrate gay culture in light of many other Pride events being canceled because of COVID-19.
Didn't fill that hole that not having a Pride celebration didn't have. It still padded it.
The organizations that the money will go to are Pathfinders, the LGBT Community Center, Courage MKE, Our Voice Milwaukee, and Diverse and Resilient. To learn more about how you can help, go to couragemke.org/get-involved.
James, thank you very much. And we put that link on our Positively Milwaukee Facebook page. This past Friday was Juneteenth, the day that slaves learned they were free. Up next on Positively Milwaukee, we're going to talk to a Milwaukee legend who helped make the city celebration what it is today. Before we go to a break, a Father's Day shout out. Ann posted this picture on our Positively Milwaukee Facebook page. She said this is her mom and dad, who are both 94. Also her daughter, 2 grandsons, and their dogs are in the picture. Ann says her dad, Don, was in the Army Air Force during World War II. Thank you for your service, Don, and happy Father's Day. Welcome back. This past Friday, we celebrated Juneteenth. It marks June 19th, 1865, when slaves learned they were free. Ryan Jenkins looks into the history of a day also known as Freedom Day.
Juneteenth, the combination of the words June and 19th, is an annual celebration rooted deeply in a very powerful moment in African American history. A moment when around 250,000 slaves learned they were free back in 1865.
If you can imagine being enslaved,
then it's certainly a moment to be celebrated.
Claiborne Benson of the Wisconsin Black Historical Society points out that Juneteenth Day should not be confused with the day slaves were freed.
Because it's the 13th Amendment that actually ends slavery legally.
That amendment wasn't fully ratified until December 1865. In the years leading up to that moment was the Civil War. And in the months leading up to that moment, Juneteenth Day was born. To understand this now widely celebrated holiday, we have to start with the Emancipation Proclamation, which was signed in the midst of the Civil War.
It's a proclamation made by President Abraham Lincoln in 1862 that went into effect January the 1st, 1863.
On that day, President Lincoln declared slaves in Confederate rebellious states free. Those freed slaves moved north, and it's reported that President Lincoln's goal was to recruit African Americans to strengthen the Union military. At this point, African Americans knew the fight was for their own rights.
African Americans realized that if the war or if this new country was going to mean anything to them, they had to be engaged and involved.
Up until the Civil War ended in April of 1865, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation became law, slaves were still being held captive in Texas, which was isolated from much of the war. It wasn't until June 19, 1865, that General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and read the proclamation aloud, announcing the freedom of nearly 250,000 enslaved people there.
June 19th is a day in which Galveston and the other freed enslaved people are honoring their freedom from enslavement.
The celebrations began on that day and have grown ever since. Today, Juneteenth is recognized as a holiday in all but 3 states, Hawaii and both North and South Dakota.
Ryan, thank you very much. Now, Milwaukee has traditionally had a big party and parade to celebrate Juneteenth. They were canceled this year because of COVID-19. But I spoke to a Milwaukee legend who played a pivotal role in making our city celebration one of the oldest and largest.
Sponsors and officials are already planning Juneteenth Day 1975 in an effort to make next year bigger and better.
Bill Taylor, a mainstay at TMJ4 for almost 3 decades. He was instrumental in getting the Juneteenth parade marching in Milwaukee.
And many black people in the city feel that it's more meaningful to them than the 4th of July. Bill Taylor, News 4.
Bill Taylor tells me he was excited to be part of this year's Juneteenth parade. He was going to be the Grand Marshal. Bill Taylor now lives in Augusta, Georgia, but planned to return to the big event. It's canceled now because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The award-winning anchor reporter retired in June of 2001.
All of them are doing something that is positively Milwaukee. He did this to bring home the message to kids: go the distance, stay in school, and away from drugs and gangs and violence.
Taylor came up with the idea of Positively Milwaukee. He received the Founders Award at our first ever Positively Milwaukee Awards dinner.
This means a lot to me. Thank you, Carole. Thank you, today's TMJ4 and Scripps Corporation. I'm so pleased to be here and receive this award. It makes me flash back to my time at today's TMJ4 for 29 years covering Wisconsin news wherever it occurred.
In 2012, Bill Taylor was inducted into the Silver Circle for his years of service by the Regional Emmy Association.
It's a top honor, and it makes me so reflective on so many things, too numerous to mention right here.
Taylor was also inducted into the Milwaukee Press Club Hall of Fame in 2001.
It's not a bad assignment for someone from the I.W. Wells Projects of Chicago, from which I'm proud to say that I am. And we couldn't have done it without some great support from today's TMJ4.
Bill Taylor traveled the world, bringing Milwaukee stories that touch the soul. He says blacks need to reflect on African heritage and never forget the strength of ancestors who survived the trauma of violence and servitude. His reporting at TMJ4 included trips to Africa.
I and many of my colleagues traveled to Israel, Ireland, Ghana, Kenya, Somalia, and Germany to get news that affected the greater Milwaukee area.
Bill Taylor hopes that when this pandemic is over, we can once again enjoy cherished summer traditions like Juneteenth Day. And Bill will be able to come back to Milwaukee to celebrate an important day in U.S. history.
The board that runs this holiday next year might be under a different structure, but for the 8th annual Juneteenth Day, yes, it's always something for everybody, young and old. Today's theme is Save the Children. and everybody's motivated and relaxed and inspired to do so. Bill Taylor, News 4.
Always good to see Bill at any age, and he tells me he moved to Augusta so that he could be in between two sets of his grandchildren. So happy Father's Day, Bill. More positive stories ahead, including how Road America is welcoming race fans during the pandemic, and you're going to meet a little entrepreneur who's using lemons to make life sweet. Before we go to a break, we have another Father's Day shout out. Rochelle posted this picture of her and her dad, Reverend Percy Dukes. He grew up in Jim Crow, Selma, Alabama, and served in World War II in artillery transport. Happy Heavenly Father's Day to Mr. Dukes. Welcome back. As racers get ready to fire up their engines, the track at Road America is one of the first to welcome back fans. Our Lance Allen shows us how people will be able to stay safe.
Social distance issues don't seem to be an issue at Road America.
Ever since we started allowing fans back June 1st, what's great about Road America is that we were already prepared because we have printed home ticketing, which allows contactless scanning at the gates.
Signs line the property, and they're set for Vintage Weekend.
Come in, bring your family, tailgate at your vehicle, roam around the facility, and enjoy a good time. A big factor of Road America is that we are a racetrack, but you're not dedicated to a grandstand seat.
The benefit of Road America? You can tell. They have space, and lots of it, on their side.
You can spread out and watch from anywhere around our 4 miles and 14 turn facility. We are 640 acres. Wow. If you put that into perspective, Road America can fit about 7 golf courses just in our property.
Road America's top attendance ever, around 50,000. That's 40% capacity. They could have more than 100,000 fans, crew members, and staff on site and still have plenty of room for 6 feet of social distancing.
Turn 12, where we have a lot of new rock placements for people to view. If you're comfortable going out and walking your dog, if you're comfortable playing a round of golf, you can be here at Road America because it truly is the safest place to watch a race. Sports can not only uplift people, sports can give a lot of people hope. And we've learned from being open to fans with racing is that we've had a lot of new fans, people looking for something to do as a family, who have learned more about racing and become race fans themselves, and they've learned that there's hope. And they said, you know what, this is something great that I never experienced before, and I'm looking forward to coming back.
Motorcycle racing, IndyCar, and NASCAR are all on the docket, with the potential of plenty more races to come.
Thank you, Lance. And if you plan to go, Road America is about an hour north of Milwaukee. Well, these days, there are a lot of reasons to smile, but baseball fans can be happy because one professional baseball team is coming back to Milwaukee. The Milwaukee Milkmen. They put their season on hold because of the pandemic, but now with safety precautions, the team will play its first game July 3rd at Ballpark Commons. That's at the Rock Sports Complex in Franklin, and the tickets start at around $8. The Milwaukee Milkmen are part of the American Association of Independent Professional Baseball Teams. We can now eat outdoors safely, all thanks to a program approved by the Milwaukee Common Council. Restaurants can apply to take over sidewalk or street space for outdoor dining. Restaurants must follow COVID-19 rules when they do so. The We Care crew is giving us a reason to smile. Now, this is a team effort between Milwaukee City and County. The group will focus on local parks, and they plan to spread the message of kindness and improving police relations. The team will also give guidance on stopping the spread of COVID-19.
We are a long way from being in the clear, and we have to continue to hammer that message and letting folks know that we have to protect ourselves, protect our family, and the way to do that is to continue to wear face masks and practice physical distancing.
The We Care crew will hand out face masks, meals, resource bags, and education on public health, all thanks to the Packers for giving a $20,000 donation to help pay for those resource bags. Very nice. A 9-year-old Milwaukee entrepreneur is running her own lemonade business, and she's finding ways to give back. Adriana Mendez tells us about Carrick's lemonade.
Sweet and tart. That's how to describe Carrick's lemonade.
I need another bottle.
The 9-year-old CEO opened her own lemonade operation about a year ago.
I thought that my business will be very well successful.
And since then, it's been just that. This week, she has 50 bottles and 10 jugs to fill for 2 customers.
I want them to feel like it tastes good and make them feel happy.
Carrick's mother, Nikki Burt, says the business is a family affair, and her goal is to teach Carrick valuable life lessons.
Dad and I think it's very important that Carrick knows how to make her own dollar. And then we also want her to understand the value of a dollar.
With business booming, Carrick decided to take a month's worth of profit and give back by purchasing food and treats for animals at the Wisconsin Humane Society.
I really wanted a rabbit, but I couldn't get one. But I still wanted to donate to all the animals, and I wanted to be happy.
Nikki says she's proud of her daughter's desire to help others.
She understands that it's a bigger picture. It's not about just making money. It's about helping someone else.
She hopes Carrick understands not only the responsibility of running a business, but more importantly, taking care of your community.
When you earn that dollar, that you take care of the ones behind you. Once you realize what success is, it's not for you to keep it in, it is for you to give back and take care of your community.
What a great lesson and a great idea. Carrick sells a 16-ounce bottle for $2 and a gallon for $10. We have information on our website at tmj4.com. More reasons to smile when we return. It's my quote of the week. Welcome back. Each week, I like to leave you with an inspirational message. Today's comes from former Minnesota Governor Harold Stassen. His words, quote, "Whoever kindles the flames of intolerance in America is lighting a fire underneath his own home." Thank you for joining us, and happy Father's Day, everybody. Have a good week and stay positively Milwaukee.